The Marvel Rivals beta has started, and this game is absolutely stunning. It's a hero shooter, and you can play as 19 different Marvel heroes in the game as it is right now. I'm sure they'll be adding more by the time the game releases and going on into future seasons. But it's been an absolute blast. I've been loving it. So in this video, I decided that I'm going to rank every single one of the heroes. And I'm not going to do it by their place in the meta or anything like that, because the game's been out for like a few hours. The beta's been out for a few hours. I'm sure balance will change, metas will emerge, people will learn to get better at the game and how to better handle other heroes. So it would just be stupid to say which is the best character right now or which is the worst character. Instead, I'm going to rank these heroes by how much fun they are to play. So I'm going to be ranking all of these heroes from S to D. I don't think any of them deserve to be lower than D. They're all at least a little bit fun to play, but a lot of them deserve to be up here. So let's start with the Punisher. The Punisher is probably the most normal character to play as. He has a machine gun, he has a shotgun, he has a smoke grenade that I kind of wish lasted a little bit longer. And one of his best abilities is this turret he can plonk down. It does leave you super vulnerable, like from the sides, from the back. People who are more mobile can get around you and kill you very easily. But if you manage to set it up when the enemy team aren't really paying attention to you and you get it in a good position, you can absolutely shut down a team who are coming back from a respawn or something like that. Really enjoyed the kind of plays the Punisher could make as well, like when an enemy hero like the Scarlet Witch is just about to fire off her ultimate, just blasting her with a shotgun, taking her out. Lots of fun. I'm going to put the Punisher up in A, a strong start. Then we've got Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk. The Hulk is a really good kind of tank. He's a good brawler. You can leap into a bunch of enemies and start smacking people, throw your shield up so you're basically invincible for a while. His ultimate, where he gets even stronger and gets even more health, is pretty cool. His ultimate on top of that, where you kind of grab someone and smack them, is a little bit underwhelming. It doesn't really do any damage, and it just makes you stand still for ages, which I don't really like. And generally with Banner, I think that I'm just a bit bored when I'm playing him. Like, the lack of mobility is a little bit of a problem. He has that leap, but he can't use it all that often. He doesn't have very good ranged attacks because they've got a bit of a cooldown on them. So often with Banner, you end up, if you're fighting against people who know what they're doing, you end up just kind of chasing people around quite a lot and not doing a huge amount. I don't really like that style of gameplay, so I'm going to put Banner down to a C. He's definitely effective, and occasionally you can be that kind of anchor which your team can be built around, but you need a really good team just to kind of make up for his lack of mobility and lack of range. Then we're going to come up with Storm. Now, Storm is powerful. Storm has this thing where she can basically create an entire area that will, all of the teammates standing in there will do extra damage, or she can switch it up so all of the teammates doing there will have some faster movement. But that's about it. She like fires bits of lightning out every now and then, or some wind gusts. Her ultimate is pretty cool, where you turn into a hurricane basically, and you can do loads of AoE damage, and that's really effective on an objective point. You can get loads of kills. But most of the time when you're playing a Storm, I found that I was just, because she can fly, I was just floating above everybody, not often getting attacked all that much. If you do get attacked, there's not a lot you can do about it. She doesn't have any quick movement or anything like that. So it just felt like, while Storm was very powerful in helping your team, it was super boring to play as her. So I'm going to put her all the way down in D. I don't really care about playing a Storm again. Then we have Loki. Loki's one of the more interesting characters. He's got a bunch of fairly complicated abilities, so he can do things like he can cast this kind of double that'll stand around, maybe trick the enemy a little bit, although it does just stand still, and no player is going to be standing still, so it doesn't trick them that well. But then you can swap places with them if you want. He can heal a little bit, he can do some damage. His ultimate just lets him copy another player, so you can just turn into the same hero as someone else, which can be super effective. You can do it with someone on your own team, so you could suddenly have two like Scarlet Witches doing loads of damage, or you could have two Hulks to try and hold a point or something like that. That is pretty cool, but he is a pretty subpar healer. I found Loki a little bit overwhelming to play as. He was actually the first character that I played as, which was maybe a mistake, so I think he is quite complicated. I think you need to really learn him to get the best out of him. So he's got an interesting skill set, but I did find that he just felt like he wasn't very good at anything. Like his ultimate of doubling up another hero didn't feel like it was particularly effective. It was just, oh, now I'm as good as that other hero. His healing and his attacks just felt a little bit too slow, and his doubles don't really fool anyone. So I'm going to put him as C. He's definitely got some potential, I think, if someone was really good with Loki, they could do some interesting things, but I didn't have the best time with him. Then you have Mantis. When I first played as Mantis, I thought she was rubbish. I was just like, her heals aren't doing that much, her buffs aren't doing that much. She basically has this system where she has kind of life orbs or something, and she can spend them to heal people on her team, or she can buff people on her team's damage, or she can buff her own damage, and then she can throw these kind of dart things attacking enemies. The thing I was missing out on Mantis is that you can spam this. You don't need to wait for a cooldown or anything like that. You can just keep on hitting it over and over again, and it makes her incredibly powerful. I mean, you're constantly doing something. You're constantly making decisions about who to heal, who to buff, whether to buff yourself. Attacking enemies, your attacks are actually pretty powerful as Mantis. She doesn't have any movement abilities, which would make her maybe a little bit higher up, but I think as a healer, she's a lot of fun, she's very active, so I'm going to put her as a B. Now, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is an interesting one as well. Has some sort of gear that you haven't really seen in other games. So he has this incredible portal that you can put down. You put down a base where you're standing, and then you can like project the other one. You can literally fly through the map and put it wherever you want. Pretty much. I'm sure there's some kind of maximum range. And then everyone can just jump through it and appear. You can even see through the portal and shoot through the portal if you want to. It's super cool. The problem is it has a 3-minute cooldown. It obviously would be a bit overpowered if I had a shorter cooldown, but it means kind of the coolest thing you get to do as Doctor Strange, you only occasionally get to do. He does also have a shield that blocks projectiles, which is, you know, fair enough, and his attack does a lot of damage. It kind of fires a little burst where if it hits them with every part of the burst, it will do a ton of damage. He can also fly a little bit, which is pretty cool, makes him a lot of fun. I'm going to put him as a B. I think he has some incredibly cool abilities, but having that teleport sort of taking a very long time to come back, like really you only get to use it once per round, is a real shame. His ultimate, I should talk about that as well, the Eye of Agamotto, is this thing where you knock the souls out of everyone near you. That's very cool, and it seems incredibly overpowered. If you can communicate with your team and say, hey, I'm about to do this, the enemy's going to be completely defenseless for like, it feels like 3 or 4 seconds, where everyone can just pile on them and wipe them out. So that's very cool, and it looks very cool. It has a really nice effect, so I like that. Black Panther. I really wanted to like Black Panther, but essentially his abilities are that he can kind of lunge forwards and tag enemies, which means they'll take more damage from him. And then he can lunge forwards again and do extra damage to them and heal a bit if he hits a tagged enemy. And he can climb up walls, and that's about it. He can also throw a spear, I think. It just doesn't feel like he does anything particularly interesting. Once he's lunged forwards and then lunged a different direction, you're kind of out of movement abilities. He can climb up walls, but that's quite slow and leaves you quite exposed. It just feels like he should be a character that should be darting in and out trying to do damage. He's so weak, like he has so little health, it makes him super fragile, but he doesn't do enough damage to turn him into a glass cannon. So he just felt kind of disappointing to play as, so I'm going to put him down in D. I just think maybe if they're going to keep him as weak as he is, he needs to do a little bit more damage. And if they're going to keep his damage as it is, maybe they should make him a bit more tanky. I think like in the films, he comes across as a bit more tanky. I haven't read any Black Panther comic books, but in the films, he comes across as someone who could like stand their ground a little bit, especially with his suit and everything. So I'd kind of like to see if they maybe set it up so he was a little bit stronger. Right, the next one is Magic. Now, I didn't actually know of Magic as a character until I played Marvel's Midnight Suns, and then I absolutely loved her. I thought she was so cool as a character in that. And it's really disappointing that I didn't really like her in Marvel Rivals. She has a big sword, she can sort of step through these little portals, so kind of blink forwards, and then either summon a demon that just kind of scratches around in front of it, or she can do a big area of effect attack where she kind of swings the sword around. It doesn't feel massively powerful. She also has like an uppercut ability. And when she used her ultimate, it's just one of those ultimates that makes her stronger. You know, it's one of those ultimates where it's like, okay, now all of your abilities are a bit better. It doesn't feel like her kit's that interesting, and I think the portals are a little bit of a missed opportunity. I have seen some people using her really effectively and sort of like being a real pest, jumping in and out of portals, being very hard to hit. So maybe if I get better with her, I'll enjoy it a bit more. But right now I'm going to put her as a C. She's a bit like Loki, where she has some kind of interesting abilities, but just doesn't feel that effective right now. I feel like I'm just kind of swinging my sword aimlessly for most of the game. Now we have Spider-Man. Spider-Man is so fast. All of these characters where I've been complaining about their lack of mobility, Spider-Man has tons of mobility. He can obviously swing on his web, and he goes so far. The whole point of Spider-Man is all about a hit and run. So you kind of swing over the enemies, over the fight, try to get to the back, try to find their healers, try to find their, people like Hela, the ranged assassins, and then beat them up, basically. You just punch them, you can upcut them, you can web them. So much fun to play. And a good Spider-Man is an absolute pest. He's so hard to shoot. He even has a decent amount of health. Like, he's not super strong, but he can kind of hold his own. He's also a pain to heal. He's quite hard to find when you're trying to heal him. His super is really good. His ultimate ability, where he just kind of jumps between people and beats a load of people up. He can kill quite a lot of people doing that. He just feels super powerful right now, and a lot of fun. Like, the speed that you move around a battlefield and being able to specifically target, one player. Just say, okay, I'm going to go after that healer and swing around to try and get behind them and then start punching them before they know what's going on. Really enjoy that. Really enjoy that gameplay style. The next one, Luna Snow. I had no idea who Luna Snow was before I started playing this. She was the only character, I think, who I'd never heard of at all. And Luna Snow's amazing. She's got like these abilities where she can heal people that she's just around. She can also pick a certain character who will get health every time she's attacking. She kind of skates around when she's being a little bit quicker. She has this dancing ultimate where she can make everyone either do more damage or heal them, which is really cool, being able to switch between making everyone do more damage so you can sort of win a team fight. But then if it starts turning against you, switch it to a heal and everyone's up to full health really quickly if they're close together. Luna Snow feels like one of the most overpowered characters, I'd say, right now. And as a healer, I just think she's absolutely awesome. You're constantly doing stuff. Like, you're constantly being able to heal people. You're constantly able to attack. And it just feels good being able to do such an insane amount of healing. So I'm going to leave her on A. I don't think she's quite up as an S, just because I don't really enjoy playing healing characters as much as other types of characters. But as far as a healing character goes, she is absolutely awesome. Really, really powerful. So, Iron Man. Iron Man is a difficult one to place, mostly because the game that I played with him, I don't think the enemy team really knew how to look up. They were just shooting each other. I was absolutely destroying them from the air. He feels super powerful. He feels pretty much like Iron Man should, I think. He's maybe a bit weaker than you'd expect, considering, he's got this big iron suit on. But he does a ton of damage. You've got guns. You've got your unibeam coming out the chest. He can fire a bunch of rockets. He can fly around really fast. He has this kind of massive attack for his ultimate that just fires a big pulse that kills everyone. He does a huge amount of damage and he's super mobile. So he's just a huge amount of fun. I would just like to see what he's like against a better team. Like I said, the game I played, I don't think the other people had played many games before. They didn't really realize that I was killing them over and over again. So at the moment, I'm going to put him down as an A. He's a huge amount of fun. I think he could be a liability with how little health he has. But I do need to see him in some sort of more high-level play before I'd put him at S. He's pretty close, though. All of these characters are really, really good. Now, Hela. Hela was another one of these characters that I didn't like the first round I played it. I was like, oh, she's not really doing that much. What's going on? And then once I got to grips with her and realized if you go for headshots with her, she can kill an enemy in like 2 or 3 headshots, which is really fast. She can also charge up her attacks to throw a load of blades at once. She can turn into a bird and fly up to sort of somewhere high up, so you can like find a really good vantage point to shoot down on everyone. Her ultimate is amazing. She flies in the air and fires like energy pulses down. She's just super fun. Quite difficult to use effectively, but if you can hit those headshots, you can do some absolutely incredible things. Hela is going to be my first S tier character. I thought she was absolutely amazing to use, and she doesn't seem to have as little health as some of the other characters. And the fact she can turn into a bird means she has an escape. It means that, like, she just feels better than a lot of the other DPS characters like Magic or Black Panther, because she seems to have more health than them, and she does more damage, and she has better mobility. So it's like, yeah, Hela is super powerful. Rocket. Rocket is another one of the early characters that I played as. He's a little bit more normal, like a lot of the others, He's got a big gun and you can blast people. He can jump on the back of Groot if you want. He can heal, but his heals are pretty bad. I know he's tagged here as like a healer. You can see the little healer icon in the bottom right. I don't think he should ever be the only healer on your team. He basically fires these orbs that bounce around. It's very easy to miss people with them. They don't go very fast, and they don't seem to heal people for a lot. He's not an effective healer, but he is a pretty good like hybrid healer and damage dealer. So if you've got another healer as well, his healing can probably help, but his damage is the main thing. One thing he has that's really cool is one of his team-up attacks where he climbs on top of Groot's shoulders. That's very cool, that's very fun, and obviously fits in with the movies and stuff. I really enjoyed playing as Rocket, but I think like the fact that a load of his gear is sort of designed around him being a healer feels like a bit of a letdown, because the healing just doesn't feel good. So I'm going to put him as a B. I do think he's a lot of fun, but the healing side of him lets him down. Now Groot. Groot is a tank, and again, first time playing as Groot, didn't really get it, didn't really understand what he's meant to do. Then I learned that his ability to make walls is incredible. So he can make two types of walls. He can make one where when he's near the walls will actually attack enemies, and another one that when he's near the walls attacking enemies, he'll get some bonus health back. And he can put down 2 or 3 of these walls at a time, and they're just so effective in objective modes. You know, blocking off enemies from being able to escape, blocking enemies from being able to reinforce, blocking enemy super abilities. You can just be constantly slamming these walls down and kind of controlling the battlefield. And Groot himself can take loads and loads of hits and dish out quite a lot of damage. Not really at range, although his hands do stretch a lot further than you'd think. But yeah, it's pretty good. His ultimate's okay. It kind of sucks everyone into a point in the middle where you can hurt them. That's not that exciting, but his ability to use the walls is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to put him up as an A tier. Now we have Namor. Namor isn't that interesting, really. Namor, you know, he can throw his trident, which is fine. But he can't really do anything particularly interesting gameplay-wise. He's another one of these damage dealers that's just running around, throwing his trident. His ultimate makes a big kind of ghostly-looking fish thing appear and eat them, but it doesn't really do any damage. He just feels like he doesn't have a huge amount of impact in the battles, which is a real shame. I don't think he's a character that's going to get a lot of play. He's not actively bad, like, you know, maybe Black Panther seems, but he's not interesting either. So I'm going to put him as C, because I don't think, you know, I enjoyed my time playing with him. It's just, I don't know why I would ever pick him over another character. Then we have Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, another one where my first round with her, I was really struggling. She has like no health, can die super quickly. But then I found that she can also do an incredible amount of damage. She is the real glass cannon of this game. And if you can get close to people, you can do insane amounts of damage to them. And then you always have this ability where you kind of turn invisible and can fly to get out of it. So the idea is you get into a fight, do a ton of damage, pick off someone who's weak, and then immediately hit that and get out of there, escape, so you don't take too much damage. Her ultimate's really interesting, where it takes quite a long while to charge up, and you need to kind of get close to enemies with it, which makes you very vulnerable. It's very easy to get killed while using her ultimate, but then she unleashes a load of energy that does tons of damage and it hurts people. It's really cool. I really enjoy that. Scarlet Witch is definitely a very cool character. I would even maybe put her up in an S tier. Just like how interesting the choices you have to make in the game are, trying to find ways where you can use your damage. She also has like a slowing field which can stun enemies, which isn't the coolest looking effect right now in the beta, but it's kind of interesting. But yeah, finding ways to stun enemies, finding ways to use her incredibly powerful attacks, and then also being able to go invisible and fly away to get out of there. Really cool. Really enjoy playing as Scarlet Witch. Then we have Peni Parker. I don't understand this character at all. When I was playing against her, I always thought it was some kind of brawler, someone who could maybe run in and start attacking people, because that's what people seem to do with her. She doesn't have a lot of health. Her attacks don't do a lot of damage. She has a load of webs, and you can do things like summoning spider bots. You can put mines down. The mines don't seem to do a lot. You can put webs down. You can shoot around a little bit using webs and kind of attach yourself to a wall. And then if you walk too far, you'll spring back to it. So I suppose she could like anchor herself to a point in the map, go into a fight, and then know that if she pushes far enough forward, she's going to spring back. But it felt very awkward to use. It just didn't feel like I was doing much when I was playing as Peni Parker. I'm going to put her down in D. I thought that she was probably the least fun character to play out of the ones I played, but a big part of that might be just I didn't understand what she's good at. Obviously, she's meant to be controlling the battlefield. She's meant to be webbing people up. She's meant to be setting these mines and stuff. But right now, everyone just seems to kind of ignore all of her webs and mines and things like that and just keep on playing. So maybe she needs a little bit of a buff. Then we've got Star-Lord. Star-Lord is another damage dealer, super fast. You can fly around shooting your guns. His ultimate is one of those where it kind of auto locks on to all of the enemies and you can just fly around blasting them. Star-Lord is incredibly cool. Really felt like the guns were super powerful, and because he's so mobile, he's another one that can properly target an enemy, find a healer, maybe find one of their weaker damage dealers and just chase them down and then get out of there again. I really enjoyed playing as Star-Lord. He's going to be another S tier. You can see all my S tiers are like the damage dealers that have some sort of cool mobility to get away. I really enjoyed playing. Also, the character model for Star-Lord is absolutely awesome. So is the one for Hela as well, actually, with the cape. Very, very cool. Then finally, we have Magneto. Magneto feels like a bit more like a tank. He can take a lot of hits, he can put shields around people, and his attacks just feel so insanely powerful. Like, you can really just be absolutely blasting people as Magneto. So his ultimate is like a comet of metal. You kind of have to charge up floating in the air and then you slam it down. Doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but it still looks pretty cool. But yeah, his basic attacks are being able to just kind of wade into the battlefield, throwing bits of metal at people, felt very, very cool. And also being able to put shields on people is super useful too. I really enjoyed playing as Magneto. I'm tempted to put him in A tier. I think I'm going to put him in S tier because he was just so much fun and it'd be nice not to have a DPS in there. So that is my tier list. It's pretty equal, actually, more equal than I was planning. I mean, I didn't really plan this out, but it's more equal than I was expecting from it. It does feel super balanced. Like, none of the heroes that I've seen enemies using have felt super overpowered that I didn't know what to do with them. But then also, all of them, even the ones that I've said weren't that fun or weren't that effective, I've seen other people using them really effectively. So I think they've done a really good job of balancing it, considering this is the first public test. Anyway, if you want to sign up for the closed beta test for Marvel Rivals, you can sign up on the website. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Rivals content from me, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.